Live from San Fernando, this is the Opposition Anti-Crime Town Hall.
Andrea Barrett when she went missing. Today made 3 years. Exactly. Andrea Barrett when she went missing. Today made 3 years. Exactly 3 years when she went missing. From the day she was reported missing. So Hunter Search and Rescue Team was created around that period. When she went missing, there was a fella by the name of Hard Grounds was on the social media and asking people to come out and search for Andrea Barrett. He have approval from the TTPS, and I joined the search as well. Andrea Barrett was found in the Arepo Heights. We know the story. We're not going back because of the time. After that, then the TTPS asked the hunters to continue and do a search with them in the Arepo Heights. I was in that search. In that search is where the TTPS see what the hunters can do. Because at that time, we was 21 hunters turn up at the time. We segregated in sections. I lead one of the team with 19 officers. Went down in the cliff and started to look for items. On those searches, eventually we found some items. It was in the media was different kind of, I don't want to attack it, but at the end of the day, we was hearing different things in the media. But those bones that was found, Shamsuddin Ayub, pick it and put it in the bag. So that to tell where I started from. After that finished, then we decided we want to continue help, join with the TTPS. About 7 to 8 persons remain. And we decided that we want to help the people, help partner with the TTPS. That was our thought. Because we always criticizing the Trinidad and Tobago police. We are always criticizing the TTPS. But what we do, we have a chance to partner with them, so we decided, and that's how we end up create the name. So we went underneath a tree, and we decided names. Everybody come up with different names, and Shamsuddin Ayub, come up with the name Hunter. Well, I come up with the name AB, which is Andrea Barrett, Hunter Search and Rescue Team. And then down the road, we take out the name AB, because AB, we have a little conflict with the word AB, Andrea Barrett, but the Hunter Search and Rescue Team remain. And then I Shamsuddin Ayub, put in the word Sham, S-H-A-M, and register it. So you get Sham, Hunter Search and Rescue Team. This is the only legitimate document on Hunter Search and Rescue Team, because I create the name and I am the one, is the owner of the original owner of Hunter Search and Rescue Team. So we continue from then looking for missing persons, joined on the ground. Basically, we don't want to go through the details because a lot we can't finish it. But I was on the ground dealing with missing persons, looking for persons. When someone go missing, then that come to me direct, that many people don't know, but I can't come and say certain things to the public because the time running. What I was doing on the ground. When someone go missing, it can be a UNC, you can be a PNM, you can be a ILP, you can be what is it? I will go and look for every single missing persons come to us. It takes a lot of strength, and also it takes a lot within us to look for missing person. It's not just going out and look for missing person. Firstly, you have to guard. There's a lot of information come. Sometimes be hours on phone with family members. So you have to, by going through those things, you have to get the information. Some cases have maybe 10 to 15 information coming in. We have to sift those information very quickly, very fast, because someone missing outside. And we sift those information and make it into intelligence, and then put it into evidence, and then move forward. So that's how quick we work, but also we work with the TTPS. Now we work with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. We also work with the Fire Service, because last night we come out from an operation where 2 hikers were stranded in Balandra. Those hikers was found around 11:30 last night. With the last walk we walked with 4 of our members, 1 hiker and another search team member. We start to walk from 9 o'clock, and 12:30 in last night we end up then we reached to the destination for that vehicle picked us up. So over 3.5 hours we was in the forest, but we do 2 searches before that to pick up these hunters. The time going. So we want to move on very quickly. The problem now that And all of this we have been doing. There are so many cases. Let me go back to Kimani. When Kimani went missing, it was a famous story again. Now, I was in the water diving below the bridge with the Coast Guard. There's a lot of people don't know that. I was there. When Kimani found, I was by the cash pit diving, take the middle stage because I'm a good diver. If you watch over some of the videos, you will see I dived. I dived in the Ottawa River as well lately with the young 4-year-old boy that went missing and was drowned in the Ottawa River. I was also in the Ottawa River dive. So when Kimani, I was with the Coast Guard, when I went by the cash pit, we dived from the cash pit forward. I even noticed they said he was found just after a log. Now, on that log, I was right there. I stopped the dive right there because I was leading the operation. And I hugged the log and I turned back. Lo and behold, Kimani was 3 feet from there when we found him the next morning. That we will not continue to make those mistakes. We learn from our mistakes and we try to improve. That's how Hunter Search and Rescue Team. There are so many cases I can go forward with. Look, for example, we're dealing with cases like Orion Gomez. Orion Gomez was missing from Arima. The amount of searches, we put on nearly 2 months of searches, and we continue. We will not give up for these people. There are a lot of searches continue, and we, as from the Hunter Search and Rescue Team, with our member, we will not give up. We will help the people of this beautiful country of Trinidad and Tobago. But our plan here today, our purpose here today is crime. Now, I stand on a political platform, and I want to mention it very clear. I respect the opposition leader. I respected the member of parliament. I respected the government. I respected everybody in Trinidad and Tobago. I respect the leader, Dr. Kate Christopher Rowley. I respect the commissioner of police, because from time to time, we don't want to go that way yet. We have communication. Right, so we search and rescue come and be so people trust us. People recognize that we are doing a lot of good works on the ground, but our information are very, very tight. We don't leak our information to the public. We protected people information that they bring to us. We hold it and lock it down. Now, I create a system that it cannot be leaked out. If it do leak out, we know where it leaked from, and we will deal with that. But we never have that so far for the past 3 years. Now, I created a plan to solve crime. Right? This is a document that I have sent to the Commissioner of Police. And I also send this to the Minister of National Security. And I also have discussion in the Arang West Community Center with 2 Deputy Commissioner of Police, the Minister of National Security, and other authority. So the same document was this. So it's not nobody can say that I never saw this document. This document went to several political leaders, went to several business associations, it went to several religious organizations, and we have done a lot on this document. Right? This document was drafted in 2022. November 2022. The document is Hunter Search and Rescue Team partner with religious leaders to help curb crime. We can't stop crime, but we can bring it down. Right? And the way forward in doing this is that we created a body. We have already went through this since last year. As I said, it's about 8 or 9 months this document was sent to the Commissioner of Police. We had discussion on it. What we have decided here, crime is everybody's business. I will stand at any platform, anyway, any association, and talk about crime. Because the little bit of knowledge that I gather from Hunter Search and Rescue Team, also I am the senior investigating officer. I don't want to mention that because I have a lot of experience on the ground. I am on the field itself. Now, the structure of this organization, we can't read it out because time catching on me. I want you to understand what we structure. We structure is Hunter Search and Rescue Team with 2 leaders, with 2 members from the Search and Rescue, 2 imams, 2 pastors, and 2 pundits, put all together. And we have a board, we have a higher board, included myself on that. Then we will come below and we have a second organization that created with everybody else. Some people object to that. Some people ask for call a public meeting. I hold back everything because we have to wait on the right time. Now, all of this we have done. We have went in a lot of depth of information, discussed this with a lot of people. what we have decided here to do is that we want the public to partner with us. We want to partner with the TTPS. We want to partner with the authority, because the Commissioner of Police at many times stand up and said she need the religious leaders, she need the society, she need the public to help in terms of solving crime. And that is what we are here to respond to her, that yes, Hunter Search and Rescue Team, led by Commander Shamsuddin Ayub, willing to partner with the Commissioner of Police and the authority to bring crime down. If we start this 3 to 4 months, by the help of the Almighty, we cut murder rate in half. We don't want to go there because we know the consequence of this. As I said, we have a lot of knowledge, we have a lot of information, but in all organizations there are so many different. There are people in organization that we can't trust. Now, TTPS is a very good organization. It's run by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. But the citizens are not trust the police. We know this for the fact. And we want to partner with the citizen. Take your information, take your information, put it to intelligence, and send it to the TTPS. Create a body. So when we send it to them, we fast track the information so that they can work and move forward, because they're short of resource, they're short of manpower. We want to do that, join with the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and put forward these ideas and send it forward, because a lot of people, information are all over the country, but people afraid to give it to someone or give it to anyone, because why? They know if they give to someone, where it will go. Because when they send it out, you'll see the next day or the following day that person on the street. We don't want to go down that road again. So what we are partnering with the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we create this organization with everybody. We are not talking about ourselves. We don't want no name, no fame. That is not my ambition. That is not my intention. That is not my way forward. What we want here is to help the people of this beautiful country, because all of us are a threat in the sight of we don't want to go there because we don't want to use certain words. But as I said, we can bring it down, partner with everybody together. This is not my thing. This is not the religious leaders' thing. This is everybody in Trinidad and Tobago thing. We want to partner with everybody to help to bring down the crime rate. Believe you me, we can bring it down, because we have done this in Hunter Search and Rescue Team. We work over 12 to 1,500 cases for the past 3 years. How many murder rates we have within every year? 5 to 600. How many people go missing? 5 to 600. We don't want to explain all of this publicly because, as I said, time limited. So we can partner. And what we have done with Search and Rescue, where we finance these things from, nobody from our pocket, member pocket. We're not receiving nothing from nobody. We have been funded from ourselves, and we want to continue put this effort, this goodness that we want to do to the people of this beautiful country, help the people of this country, and we want to continue in terms of bringing unity and love, because one of the things that falls short is love. Now, less than a minute. What caused crime in Trinidad and Tobago? We hear a lot of talks on crime, but the thing that caused crime in Trinidad and Tobago is justice is not shared equally across the board. And we as Hunter Search and Rescue Team and the religious leaders want to put a stop to that. Justice must go to every single one. We are not continue to allow it to see it. We will not allow it to continue, because we have seen it from time to time. We are not attacking no one. We are not attacking anyone. The problem is that we here to help with the people of Trinidad and Tobago. As I said, I will write to the Prime Minister for our discussion. We'll continue with the Commissioner of Police and his deputy, because me and a lot of them have good relationship. And as I said, I'm on a political platform, and I will stand at any political platform, any religious organization, anyway, for help the people of Trinidad and Tobago. وكل قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you very much. Please let's give him a round of applause. Very passionate about what he does and the work that he does. Can I ask our team, are there any more chairs? Do we have any more chairs, please? People up at the back, we have some extra chairs. We'll put them out front. So if you could make your way down, I will give you a few minutes. Can we get some more chairs out, please? We have to thank all of you for coming out. We have a full house overflowing. Johnny's telling me we need a bigger space next time. The bigger space next time, Johnny, will be all of Trinidad and Tobago as we go to fight crime throughout the country. So can we put some chairs out if we have more? Some of you very kind gentlemen can help us. You're a fine gentleman, please help. Can we pause for a cause to welcome all these gentlemen and ladies from the OWTU? Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for joining us. That's it for the chairs? Well, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Thank you all very much. Can we please carry on with the program? Nicholas, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we thank you for coming out in your hundreds and the hundreds joining us online as the leader of the opposition continues to move a united approach to return safety and security to every family, community, and constituency of this country. Our next speaker is Mr. Donny Rogers. He's an elected director of the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago, where he sits as the chairman of the Education Committee, chairman of the Internationalization Committee, chairman of the Elections Committee, and the National Livestock Representative of the Board of Directors. In December 2023, he was awarded the title of Professor at the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. Currently, he is the Managing Director of his family-owned business, Farm Fresh Dairy Products, which has grown to become the second largest indigenous dairy processor in Trinidad and Tobago in just 7 years. He also hosts a monthly online forum titled Focus on Agriculture, where he brings awareness on national agricultural issues with a focus on the sustainable development of our national agricultural sector. Mr. Rogers is a strong advocate for our local farmers and the sustainable development of their farms, as well as our local production of food and value-added products. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Donny Rogers.
Pleasant good evening to all, to the Honorable Political Leader, Ms. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, members of Parliament, everyone here tonight. Good. Before I start, as we have the crowd this close up, I'd like to get a little engaging, right? All those who are fed up of high food prices, let me see by a show of hands. All those, everybody fed up of high food prices. Let me hear it again. All those who really can't understand why tomatoes have to be $20 a pound. All right? Good. So let me give you one little dimension. And people don't realize this. We don't think about it. It's not at the top of our minds, but it's reality. From the last 8 years to today, rice production in this country dropped by 93% over the last 8 years. Vegetable production dropped by 35%. Legumes, peas, dropped by 55%. Root crops, 27%. And we only produce 8% of the milk that we use in this country. We import over $180 million in milk annually. We have moved from 150 dairy farmers to just about 75. And that is the backdrop that I'm going to use. In 2015, we had 93 reports of predial larceny in this country. In 2016, the mechanism was still working, so we had 73. From 2017 to 2022, that figure went up between 50 and almost 100%. because the figures stood at 132, 136, up to 177, which is almost double. One of the largest issues facing food production is the issue of pre-deal larceny. And this has turned into a multi-million-dollar business for the criminal enterprises. Last year, 125 dairy cows were stolen in this country from farms throughout. When they are stolen, there's only one thing that's going to happen for it. They're going to slaughter. So you lose that production. You lose everything about that. The value of that is over $2 million. So you see where the criminals making money, right? Criminals, bandits could come into your farm, steal animals, put them in vans, drive down the road, and they will not get caught. Because out of these 125 dairy cows that were stolen last year, not one was recovered. No one was arrested for it. So in broad daylight, they go in, and they're not being held. Why? Because of the pre-deal larceny unit. The pre-deal larceny unit has been left without the proper, how should I put it, without the proper leadership, without the systems, without the resources to carry out their work, without the proper legislation. If I may, our very own chairman, Rampasad, I remember in discussion, he lost over $200,000 in watermelon at 1 year. And here those guys went with it. 60,000 pounds of watermelon were transported in a car whole night, up and down. Nobody stopping, nobody checking, nobody doing anything. Just last week, one of the largest rice producers in this country lost a pump valued at about $75,000. That pump is so big that they go in the back of a van and transport it out of there, passing right next to the police station in the area, and nothing. Against this backdrop, I am saying that the crime situation is not just against farmers, it is against food production. It is against your ability to get food and your ability to afford food. Demand and supply. When the commodities go less, the prices go up. But you know what's the funny thing about it? Farmers not really all that worried about pre-deal larceny anymore, you know. Farmers worried about crimes against their person. In Jerningham Junction farmlands, one of the highest producing farming areas, a farmer was held up, produce stolen, money stolen, equipment stolen, vehicles stolen, and they were beaten. So that farmer was not a farmer anymore. He have anything in order to go and become productive afterwards. Because of the nature of this one, I wouldn't go into the details. An elderly farmer was hog-tied in front of his family, tortured. I will not go into the details of the torture. And that crime was not solved. I am not just here speaking to you as a professional. I am here speaking to you as a farmer, as a business owner, and even I myself, I was shot on my back on a farm. So the crime situation is, to farmers, it has taken a toll on their capacity to produce, where you see many farmers opting to just stop, leave it, forget about it. Farmers are getting out of food production, and it's very easy to see that. If you look at the newspapers, you read the classifieds, all you're seeing is county to limited acres, 2-acre lands being sold, and it being sold for dirt cheap prices. You are seeing farms being sold, you are seeing large acreages of farmlands being sold. And this will never work towards bringing food production to where it's supposed to be. The farmers of Trinidad and Tobago have not had any support over the last 8 years with regards to pre-deal larceny, and more so crimes against their person. 3 to 4 years ago, the food import bill 6 to 7, sorry, not 3 to 4. The food import bill was $5.2 billion. Last year, it was 7.3, the highest we have ever had in this country. And it's not going to get better. My prediction is that if nothing is done about the crime situation and how it affects farmers and the farmers' ability to produce food, we're going to end up in a situation where it would not make sense to try to grow food locally. Because that food import bill could hit close to $10 billion. And at that stage, it makes no sense trying to bring back our local food production. The time to create that change is now. Currently, we have a situation where the Carson Field office for the pre-deal larceny unit has closed. So that means from Currap to San Fernando, there are no pre-deal larceny officers in the highest food producing regions of the country. The farmers have no support, nobody to call when something happens. And how could a decision like this be made? Farmers of Trinidad and Tobago are competent and willing to ensure that everybody have access to food at a good price and good quality food. However, when they are faced with situations where all their crops being stolen, their equipment being stolen, they're shot, they're beaten, they are terrorized, how are they to produce? They are not going to. And that is why you will see locally grown produce at $20, $30, $40 a pound. We need proper decisions to be made. We need security. We need leadership, none of which we have had for the last 8 years. Whilst we allow crimes against farmers to flourish, the pockets of the importers are also flourishing. And that means that is you guys going to pay the price for it. Nobody else but the consumer. The time is now for change, and I ask you to think, how can we go forward without change? There is no way that we could go forward in the agricultural sector without positive change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rogers. As we work together to come up with solutions with respect to the problems facing our country, we have to watch that we are victims, not just somebody lick you down, hurt you. We are further victims in all our families, which also helps to build up more crime when we can't feed ourselves and our families. So I think your contribution today is well appreciated. Let us thank Mr. Rogers. And then what is the solution? If you're talking about pre-deal larceny, I remember when we were in government, we had that issue with us as well. You made a point it has increased over time because they've killed the squad, the pre-deal larceny squad. And solution is a simple one. Why are we killing all these special units within the TTPS, within law enforcement, that further impacts and hurts people in our country? So I would say, Mr. Rogers, what you're saying to us, we need to change the leadership in order to get the right projects and policies implemented. I hand over to Filiana now. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Dr. Velini Pandit is our next presenter. Dr. Velini Pandit is a clinical psychologist in private practice for over 12 years. In the past, Dr. Pandit has lectured psychology courses at the University of West Indies Open Campus and at the Cipriani College in Valsay. She has served in corporate life on the board of directors of the National Enterprises Limited and TSTT. Additionally, she has given numerous talks to schools, medical associations, businesses, and media appearances. She was honored by the High Commission of India for distinguished service in yoga in Trinidad and Tobago. In addition, she was the founding chairperson of the Congress of the People's Youth Congress. Throughout her life, Velini has remained humble and committed to her social and religious responsibilities, and is an active member, musician, and singer in her temple at the Vyas Hindu complex. She continues to dedicate her life to the service of all and the upliftment of Trinidad and Tobago. Miss Dr. Velini Pandit.
Our host, the Leader of the Opposition, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, honorable members of Parliament, members of the panel, and to the hundreds of you here this evening and those joining online, a very good evening to you all. The rate of crime in Trinidad and Tobago is now at unprecedented levels. This is not news to us. This is why we've gathered here today. And it's continuing to rise. The rate of crime in Trinidad and Tobago, statistically, the World Population Review showed recently that out of the 196 countries that make up planet Earth, what should be our little slice of paradise is ranked the 6th highest crime rate in the world. Think about that. We have outmatched in terms of our crime rate countries like Syria, Yemen, even Jamaica. Trinidad and Tobago, the 6th highest crime rate in the world. Among the Caribbean islands alone, we are now number 1. As a psychologist and a clinician, I stand before you today to share with you that the impact of crime on mental health is of no small order. There is an economic cost to crime, of course. That is not my purview. But I dare say the psychosocial impact of crime is even greater. We have increased psychological distress, decreased quality of life, and the erosion of trust and confidence in authorities. Both statistical research, as well as my own personal experience as a clinician, confirms that the increase in crime substantially increases reported levels of depression and anxiety. It weakens self-confidence, and it increases overall mental distress. In adulthood, for us adults, exposure to violence leads to poorer health outcomes. Not just mental health, including depression, anxiety, trauma, and stress, but even poorer medical health condition outcomes. In terms of the impact on our young people, which I'm passionate about, decades of research has established a connection between adverse childhood experiences, such as violence and abuse, and lifelong health outcomes. For children who are exposed to violence, there is chronic disease and mental disorders. Children and adolescents who are merely exposed to violence are at risk for poorer long-term behavioral and mental health outcomes, such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is those who are just exposed to crime. And what I mean is, regardless of whether they are actual victims of crime, they are direct witnesses of crime, or even just hearing about crime, we have these poorer outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree that the citizenry, as a collective, we are faced with constant fear of crime. Added to that, the regular stresses, economic burden, climate change, by God, just the traffic on the roads on a daily basis. It is impacting us, our mental health. There is impact on our family life. It's now trickling to impact our community engagement and even our spiritual life. The most basic theory in psychology, and many of you who would have studied any basic psychology will know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And this proposes that there is a hierarchy, there's a list of needs that need to be met for an individual, to achieve their fullest potential. And similarly, if I were to impose this on a collective of us, individual as a nation, we would see that the basic needs for us to thrive and actualize as a people, the basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, and other than that, the next most important thing is safety and security. If we are denied this basic need on a chronic basis of safety and security, we're going nowhere fast. We need this safety and security. We cannot have a discussion on crime and its impact without talking about drugs. There is a direct relationship between the drug industry, legal and illegal, and crime in the country. Of recent, the government has tried to address this in one way by legalizing marijuana. Without the proper framework to support a move like this, what we have, and I see it in my practice all the time, is an increase in psychosis, in addiction, in abuse, an increase in cannabis use disorder, an increase in school dropouts, and this is all impacting not just crime, but society as a whole. We need more than this. What it has done, yes, I admit, we now have a reduced amount of the petty crimes for possession of small amounts of marijuana going to the courts, but has it had any impact on the number one problem facing Trinidad and Tobago, which is crime? No, it has not. And the opposition leader made very pertinent statements recently on this topic, which I fully support. Other than illegal drugs, there's one thing that I want to mention tonight. We also have a breeding, silent opiate crisis in this country. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Dangerous Drugs Act, number 24 of 2019, has certain drugs listed as a class 2 dangerous drug. And this means it could be recognized for having medical uses, but only under strict supervision, because there's a high potential for abuse and dependency. This includes opiate drugs like codeine, for example, Tramadol, so many and these should be highly regulated. But in this country, countries across the world, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Canada, it is not even allowed in the country and highly, highly regulated if so. But in Trinidad and Tobago, why can a young person go into a pharmacy and pick up as many bottles of codeine that they want or any other drugs without a prescription, fueling an addiction crisis? And again, there is no auditing. The government in their last report has said that they don't have enough pharmacists to make up the audit personnel to audit the pharmacies to ensure that everything is going, so everybody is doing what they want. It's our children, it's our brothers and sisters that are suffering. Where is the information? How do we help our own people? Justice delayed, this is something my dad taught me, justice delayed is justice denied. Could you imagine the pain and the mental agony of family and friends who have to wait months and sometimes years to find out if the body that was found is a member of their family? For more than a decade, we have been promised a new forensic sciences center. Where is that? It's 2024. There's nothing. And we can't blame the officers working there, you know. They are working tirelessly. They are stressed, they are tired, they are depressed, they have thousands of backlog cases, but no resources. Where is the priority? How can we tackle a problematic crime rate, a failing justice system, without addressing things as basic as forensics in this country? The nervous system of this nation, when I work with clients, one of the things that I often do when it is required is nervous system education, to understand the difference between overactivated nervous system, how to bring regulation into that. If I put this, again, looking at the nation as a whole, of us as a person, collectively, I can say without doubt that the nervous system of this nation is stuck on fight or flight mode. We are constantly looking over our shoulders. As a woman, as a young professional, I know, and even my friends, who has not left for good, if they want to enjoy the simple pleasure of taking a walk and feeling safe, they have to fly out of the country. Is that something we should be able to do? Ladies and gentlemen, fight or flight is quite literal. Those who remain, we're fighting for our lives, and those who have the resources, the brain drain is exponential. For how long will we as a people accept this? In my mind, and this is with no legal background or legal jargon, I find the amount of stress and crime that we have to tolerate in this country it almost amounts to a human rights violation. It's becoming increasingly difficult to live in Trinidad and Tobago and to have a sense of peace. We now have a nation of beautiful citizens walking around highly stressed, frustrated, scared. Reading the newspaper is a traumatic event, and they feel helpless. Very important, that sense of helplessness about their power to do anything. Town hall meetings like this, I ask you, shouldn't this be, if a government knows that they are grappling with crime for over 10 years, shouldn't they tap into the wisdom of the people to find solutions? Why there is a need for participatory governments? Why isn't the government holding talks on crime? They don't listen. Empowering people and giving them a sense of agency in being able to control their future, to be able to deal with the problems together as one people, this is very good for mental health, and we need more like these. And our honorable opposition leader, I thank you for creating the opportunity. And you can tell that the people of this country are thirsty to get involved and to find solutions by virtue of the hundreds of people that are here today and the thousands more, I'm sure, are online. Along with a failure to address crime, there's also a failure to develop policy opportunities for buffering the impact of the detrimental effect of crime on the people. We need public health strategies to address crime while we deal with crime and justice on its own. We also need public health strategies to address crime and violence, focusing on building resilience, reducing susceptibility, building healthy gender norms, developing healthy relationships, and creative, protective environments. My brothers and sisters, the impact of crime on us as a people, on our mental health, on our ability to thrive and realize our fullest potential is in no short order. And I believe that the time is coming for us to shake ourselves out of the state of helplessness, to take action and make the decisions necessary to put people in the places who are willing to listen to you and who are willing to do something effectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Looking at the crime epidemic from a different perspective and sharing with us some things that we may know and some new things that we learn. The good point I think you are making for us, all of us, is that there are people out there who are willing and able. You know, right now I'm coming here, when I say right now, a short while ago, and I have the news on, the car, the radio is on, and the news is right now, Prime Minister of this country held crime talks in Washington. Held crime talks in Washington today, not with the nationals, not with the diaspora. He's holding crime talks with officials in Washington. And this is the kind of scant courtesy that this government intends to hand down. I wonder if you all remember when there was a famous, Rudy, what was it, the CARICOM symposium on crime? Oh yes, at the Hyatt. They wouldn't come to San Fernando to talk to you. $5 million are they hired. And what has happened since then? Nothing. So it was a CARICOM things. Then the government promised us they would do anti-crime talks in our country, and that morphed into and became the CARICOM summit that they held in the Hyatt. I understand and I thank you for your comment that we must meet you, the people, and we must listen to you, because obviously what they've been doing, it hasn't worked, and it is not working. I ask Nicholas now to, a very seasoned panelist to present to you now. Go ahead, Nicholas.
Thank you very much, Opposition Leader. I have been asked by the organizers to inform you that there is not a single seat available in Paria Auditorium today, as the crowd has now reached the thousands. And we have been joined by a very diverse group of people from the unions, the diplomatic corps, as well as businessmen. But we have some very notable individuals here this evening. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Leo Bradshaw, former Deputy President of the Senate. We'd like to also acknowledge Reverend Ralph Umrao, former moderator of the Presbyterian Church, Ms. Lucina Cardenas Ragunanan, former Chief Magistrate, and businessman Mr. Hari Ragunanan, and most of all, the beautiful people of Trinidad and Tobago who have come out in their thousands to meet and listen to the leader of the opposition. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker began his service with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in 1977. Mr. Abraham spent 20 years in the Criminal Investigation Department in Chaguanas. He then went on to become the Inspector of the Homicide Investigation Department for 5 years in the Northern Division, and then the Eastern Division, Northeastern Division, spanning from Mova, Toko, and Tabalon. Mr. Abraham became Senior Superintendent for the entire Central Division, which put him in charge of the whole division, where he made notable and sustainable change. Mr. Abraham, in addition to his remarkable duties as an officer, has also formed 8 youth clubs, or police youth clubs, from Londonville to Tabaquite, which focus on educating the youth and allowing them to participate in sporting and cultural activities in an effort to stray them away from a life of crime. He also has extensive training and awards in various fields of policing and criminology. Let us welcome Mr. Johnny Abraham this evening.
This is not a degree. A special good afternoon to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Ms. Kamala Pasabi-Sessa. All other protocols observed. There are so many distinguishable people in this audience that if I go to welcome them, my 15 minutes will be up. Well, as you heard the presenter, that my name is Johnny Abraham, and it will always remain Johnny Abraham. Thank you. Thanks. It will always remain Johnny Abraham. That's so short. Firstly, I must say that I am here to speak on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, where crime and criminality has taken over this country. And the name Johnny Abraham, to me, is a powerful name. I was never fearful of anyone in this country, and nobody is going to tell me to shut up. However, I hail from a home with discipline, and I work in a disciplined service for close to 40 years. I worked in a disciplined service for 40 years, and I'm not going to disrespect anybody. Who want to say whatever they want to say can feel free to say that. I am not fearful of anyone in this country, I will not be intimidated, and I will not be bullied by no one to keep quiet where crime is concerned in this country. The Honorable Leader said that she's willing to give each member of the protective services firearm user's license to own and obtain firearms. Some people might say it is not a good idea. And that goes for the police, army, coast guard, and all the rest of the persons in the protective services. And you see, having been a police officer, involved in all kind of chase, shootout, you name it, where my life was in danger several times. I know how an officer feels when he's leaving duty and have to hand in his firearm. In this modern day and age, criminals have sophisticated weapons. You go on a crime scene, it's frightening to see the different calibers: 7.62 ammunition, 5.56, 9mm, 45.40 ammunition. And apparently, these criminals, when they go on a crime scene, they shoot off sometimes 70, 80 rounds to send fear to the public and to the police officers. You imagine an officer just involved in one of those dramas, on his way home, nothing to protect himself and his family, not even his neighbors. You tell me if that police officer could function properly. But I am saying, under the leadership of the great opposition leader, Ms. Kamala Pasabi-Sessa, that will change, and it will change shortly. I am in full agreement with that proposal. And ma'am, I can safely tell you that over 3,000 to 4,000 officers have contacted me, and they cannot wait for the day that you step as the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. The Honorable Leader spoke about standing your ground in this country. People make a big holo-bolo about it. Imagine you have innocent citizens, hard-working people, lying in their homes, well protected by burglar-proof dogs and you name it. They have been murdered in their home. Families have been raped. Their prized possessions have been taken away. You could imagine Mr. Ram Kisoon, who was murdered recently. I am sure that his family is afraid to even stay in their own home. That is how far crime has reached in this country. And then you want to tell me, shut up when I'm talking about crime? I am not going to shut up. I am going to speak out on behalf of the people of this country. And, you know, I want to make a proposal, you know, that for all the persons who say no to firearm, for persons who have all the qualifications to obtain a firearm, why they don't keep a referendum in this country to find out from the public if they want people to own firearms? Keep a referendum. It's the same thing with stand your ground. Too much of people in this country have been brutalized, and all we hear is a sort of talk. Another topic I want to raise is that when I spoke about leadership in the police service, well, I came in for some real blows, but that didn't ruffle my feathers. Because recently a promotion was made where the commissioner went to the media and apologized for a promotion that was made, and apparently it wasn't fair. Imagine a simple thing like a promotion, and when you speak about these things, people that say, well, because them have degree, they're supposed to run the service. As degree means nothing if you don't apply what you learn. Common entrance children will make marks 199 down the road. You will know who to place in what school. So, as an example, officers made high marks, and other officers who made lower marks than those officers were promoted. Is that fair to the officers? Last week, no, I don't want the police service to feel that I batter nobody, but I'm speaking about the management. Imagine last week, Thursday, several officers was called to police administration building with a view of taking back these promotion stripes. But apparently, the administration got word and they leave them with the stripe. You know who was present in that meeting, man? You had people from the witness and support unit in case these officers fainted when they heard the result. How these officers could go back to function when other officers really tell them, you get a stripe by mistake. No motivation. So how they expect these officers to serve this country wholeheartedly? Another thing I would like to talk about with the police service is that you're hiring people to become police officers from the public, which is great. But I am saying that you have special reserve officers who are already 15 and 20 years in the service, doing the same work as regular police officers. Why not employ some of them to be regular police officers? They are doing the same work and underpaid. There's a saying in the United States of America, and I want to say the same thing here. When you have a society that is starved of lawful firearms, the unlawful takeover, just as what happened in Trinidad. Meaning that if you arm people with firearms in Trinidad, these criminals will be pegged back because they wouldn't know who to attack and who not to attack. And I want to call on the divisional commanders to know your areas in the 9 police division. Come outside, meet the people in the public. Have conversation with the people. Every time you see a police vehicle pass, you will see all the glass wind up. The marked police vehicle with heavily tint. You can't make out who in the vehicle. I am saying that as a good leader, you're supposed to be leading from the front, as I said prior. Take command of your division. And if the 9 division commanders take charge of the division and monitor every criminal activity that is taking place by means of the wireless communication set, then you could lock down an area in less than 5 minutes. I could stand up right here a long time with a wireless set and lock down the whole of Central Division in 2 minutes. I remember some time ago, there was a bomb scare in Point Lisas. And I was able to close off Claxton Bay Main Road one time, Riverlet Road, and St. Andrews by the junction there. No vehicle couldn't come in. So that was safety for people. Another thing I would like to say is that being a police officer, you have to be dedicated. My day used to start at 7 o'clock officially. And when I reach the station, you'll find 20 persons sit down there waiting to report other officers for negligence of the duty and so on. I will deal with these people. Then I will take up my wireless set and my vehicle. I never had a driver. I drove myself for all these years in the police service. I didn't want a black vehicle with no driver, so that if a crime happening, you're passing straight and nobody don't know it's a police. I used to drive a marked police vehicle with the blue light spinning all the time. So when you have persons who are not motivated, you cannot get 100% from these officers. You cannot get 100% from these officers. I have a lot more to say, but I'm looking at the time. But I'll give you piece by piece in more conversations. Ma'am, I want to assure you that you have the full support of most of the police officers, the fire officers, the prison officers, members of the army, waiting for you to become the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago to fulfill your promise to give them their firearm user's license. I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnny Abraham, a well-known figure throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for your comments, your suggestions. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. And whilst on the platform, our panelists have each spoken within their own purview of knowledge and so on, we are moderating this platform, and I want you to understand what's happening. There are some who are of the view that we, meaning my MPs and senators and myself, that we should come and talk down to you, that we should come and tell you what are our plans. I've spent years telling you UNC plans, stand your ground, firearm users license, legislative opportunities, areas dealing with the witness protection program. That program has totally collapsed. In the very first anti-crime talks the opposition held with the then Prime Minister, incoming Prime Minister Rowley, that was one of the first pieces of legislation. We said, you have to fix the witness protection program. Because a crime is committed and no witness wants to come forward. They're afraid. So there are many things we have been talking and we'll continue to talk. But these anti-crime talks, I want you to understand before we open the floor to you, is for us to hear from you. Are you willing to speak to us? That's the question I'm asking you. Will you speak to us today and after? And when we want to talk to tell you about our plans and policies, it will be a different forum. It will be a Monday night report or pavement reports where we as politicians will come and share various aspects of crime fighting, of the economy, healthcare, education, whatever it may be. But the way we envisage this forum, the anti-crime talks, is for us to hear from you and hear from other qualified persons. So together we can take all these suggestions and build on defense strategies and solutions to fight crime. So are we in agreement? Can we hear from you now? So mics are available. Are you ready? Yes, thank you. Our team will be, if you put your hand up, our team will be sharing the mics with you. Can you come down if you want to speak? Please come down, yes.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, SC. No. Members of the distinguished members of your panel, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I realize that there are many people here. If we begin to call names, I could stay here all night.
Are we having a difficulty with the volume, please? Can we fix the mic?
Yeah, I prefer.
Can you come up here? Be careful.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Today, I am speaking not on my own behalf, but I am here to represent my daughter, Ms. Karen Ascarali.
We are still having problems with the volume, please. Somebody please help her. We get the mic directly in, or maybe you could give her my mic here. Can you take this mic to her, please? Someone.
All right, today I am representing my daughter, who exactly 11 years ago was shot in her face 11 years ago. Karen Asgarali, it was a time just like this, season and everything. But out of this devastated experience, she founded the NPO, Project RARE, R-A-R-E, which is raising the awareness of the ripple effect of gun violence. The organization advocates for peace and resilience, building through peace sessions in which professionals provide information about the physical, emotional, financial, and spiritual aspects associated with the trauma of violence, especially from guns. Project RARE has evolved into an educational organization sharing on character building values such as forgiveness, compassion, and integrity. This group and its founder believes that every citizen has a right to safety and security and should not have to take on the burden of protection that the state should provide. We are not political. We are people-oriented, seeking peace, hope, and a positive environment for all. We believe in empowerment through education and in using hurt and pain to drive hope for positive societal transformation. We believe that every positive action is significant. It was like any normal day. My daughter returned to her home after a day at work as a teacher at MUDSEC. In the evening, she went for a drive with a friend when they encountered bandits on a rampage who were being chased by the police. The bandits were looking for a getaway car. Yes, you guessed right. Hers was there. In trying to take control of the car, they began to shoot at the driver. But instead, my daughter got shot. One bullet went through her lower jaw on the left side of her face and exited on the right, shattering her jaw, jawbone, and the teeth. Her tongue was almost severed, slipping backwards, threatening to strangle her. She was also shot in the chest and shoulder. Relating this sounds like it took a long while, but in a fleeting moment, that extensive damage took place. Blood poured profusely from where her chin used to be. Thankfully, the nearby police vehicle that was chasing the bandits took her to the hospital. After emergency surgery, she spent a month there, several weeks without being able to speak, and about 9 months without eating solid foods. She was a chemistry teacher at MUDSEC and was preparing students for their final exams. So being away from school affected them in their preparations. So after a month at hospital and several months of surgeries, follow-ups, and clinics, she was medically boarded as she could not attend school. Whatever savings she had, along with funds from the sale of her car and a fundraiser organized by her colleagues, had to be used for additional reconstructive and plastic surgery. The time she spent at hospital, not due to illness, deprived an ill citizen of medical care. All the hospital treatment had to be paid for with your money, taxpayers' dollars. You also had to pay for police investigations, medical staff, and ambulance services to take for external panoramic x-rays and MRI, which could not be done at hospital. That bill would have been astronomical. The effect, psychological, physical, and mental on students, fellow teachers, neighbors, community, and the international community cannot be measured. Notwithstanding, she's a mother, an only daughter and a sister, the effect this had on our family. My thought was, thank God, her father had already passed, as I don't know how he would have handled this. When God wants to send his message, he sometimes uses the dramatic to get our attention. Ladies and gentlemen, the gunfire continues. But tonight I pray for a ceasefire, whether instituted by us or divine intervention. How many more must die? Tonight, I thank God, we were able to forgive the bandits, and the Almighty is using her to propagate peace. I thank you on her behalf for the opportunity to share. Good night.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we have members who are willing to speak? And whilst we want to hear and share, and for you to share with us, I know there are many members who would like to speak, so we can put a little brakes on how long. Reverend Umrao, I'm asking you to please don't give us your whole Sunday sermon right now, so we can get other persons to contribute. So please keep an eye on the time in making your contribution. And thank you for coming forward.
Okay, my dear opposition leader, the Florence Nightingale of Trinidad and Tobago, we are indeed very happy for this occasion. What is responsible for crime and criminals? Greed, corruption, envy, hatred, animosity, illiteracy, immorality, and the absence of God in our lives. My dear friends, criminals are not born, but created by society, the community, and the environment in which we live. Where in the world today can we find peace and love, my dear friends? No one is given the power or rights to destroy another human being. In the Old Testament time, in the time of Noah, when was few people trying to be honest and faithful, God came down from heaven and spoke to Noah and said, Noah, ask your people to repent of their sins. And God told Noah, I have regretted making human beings, my dear friends. And I still today, God is still regretting making human beings in our land because of our dishonesty. And we know the dishonesty of Adam and Eve. All religions have to come together in our land today. Christians, Hindus, Muslims, and others, and aim to increase humanity in our people. We are human beings, but we are missing humanity, my dear friends. The priests have to be models and lead their people into spiritual living. The priests have to attract dropouts and new followers, retract parishioners, and bring them back into the fold. They have to reduce their preaching and change their attitude. For sometimes these priests, all the priests I am talking about, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, they repeat, and the youths do not like to attend churches or mandirs and mosques because of the same sermon is being repeated over and over again. So my dear brothers and sisters, we have to teach simple morality in our church, in our community, in our schools. We have to emphasize the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. We have to emphasize human values of truth, beauty, and goodness. We have to go back to the 10 Commandments. We have to teach our children to pray, my dear brothers and sisters. We have to emphasize the use of the IRO, and they have to become a little more vigilant. And I think some of them are spiritually asleep. We have to wake them up in this country. There is an absence of God in the home, in the community, in schools, in the offices. We have to teach children and even adults how to pray. Parents, brothers and sisters, do we teach our children to pray? Or we just pray with them? We have to pray at least 3 times a day, my friends. The priests must collectively demand a change in the school's curriculum, review moral education, and must present subjects. Teachers must have class, my dear friends. We have many teachers don't have class, and the only time you'll find them have class is on mountain, my dear friends. So ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a very terrible time. The whole world is in a crisis. We are in the last days. The world is on the verge of being crushed. Therefore, we have to repent and be transformed. As one religious leader says, start the day with love, fill the day with love, and end the day with love. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Coordinator, Madam Political Leader, Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. As a means of introduction, my name is Leonard Bradshaw. I live in Point Fortin. That's significant, and you'll understand why in a while. Madam Political Leader, you have been trying to get the government to do this mass meeting and sharing of minds and asking people to express themselves on crime. Forget it. It will never happen. And you have to understand why. Most of the crimes in Trinidad are committed, and I'm going to quote your leader, OWTU, Mr. Roger, and he was correct when he said, most of the crimes that affect us these days are committed by young, black, Afro-Trinidadians. It's sad, but it's true. Now, how does that relate to the government and crime symposiums? They cannot have a crime symposium out of which will come recommendations on how to deal with crime. The days are past when we could use kid gloves and tell the criminals that don't do this, bring in your weapons. They ain't going to do that. The methods that are going to be employed to deal with crime have to be multifaceted. But among them, you've got to be draconian on some of the hardened criminals. If you do that, you'll be stepping on the corns of a lot of the political supporters of the PNM. And make no mistake, the PNM is focused, and they do it fairly well, on winning elections. They don't care about the aftermath of winning elections. They don't care about what happens to the country. What they do happens along the way. The IMF will tell them you've got to increase electricity rates. They will do it even in an election year, not because they had planned it, but because it has come upon them as a responsibility. When it comes to crime, they're not going to bother to do anything. But Madam Political Leader, you are interested in solutions, and the solution is obvious. You have to change the government. But if we had to change the government, let me give you a little story. Point Fortin is not in the headlines every day in terms of murders and that sort of stuff. And we are thankful, but I'm scared. I'm scared because the cancer is spreading throughout the whole nation. A few nights ago, my dog started barking. I still don't know what it was barking at. I looked out the window, peeping behind the curtain, just in case somebody was out there. And I was dead scared because I don't even have a slingshot to protect myself. And I am a safe, upstanding citizen of this country. I spent 5 years as a deputy, as a vice president of the Senate. I thought I would qualify for a firearm to protect myself. Fact of the matter is, I applied. Nothing has been done. I went back to the station, I said, what about my application? Boss, I don't know nothing about that now. And there lies the matter. I support your proposal for stand your ground legislation. And if you want to know why I mentioned that I live in Point Fortin is adjacent to Lubbury. Point Fortin and Lubbury are PNM constituencies. The PNM is strong there. In every other part of Trinidad and Tobago where the PNM is strong, crime is prevalent. So I'm scared. It's a reality we have to deal with. So, Madam Political Leader, I take note of the fact that we have a limited amount of time for this presentation. But I think that we have to start preparing for the general election of 2025. Right? And while crime is going to be a major campaign issue, there are other issues that we have to deal with, such as constitution reform, such as education, such as agriculture, such as foreign relations, and it goes on and on and on. We cannot wait until we win the election to start saying, Rudal, you head a committee, or Saddam, you head a committee. We've got to start doing it now. We have no option, if we want to save this country, but to start working now. Thank you.
Yes. All right, everyone. Good evening, good evening. Now, I've been told that time is very limited, so I'm going to be brief here tonight. First and foremost, I want to thank the team here for their contributions. I would have reached late, but I was filled in. And from what I heard, all the contributions were very enlightening. I want to thank the political leader of the UNC. Let's all give her a round of applause. And you know why we need to do that? Because of what we have here. There's an attempt now to divide the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to divide us among many issues, but we must not be divided. We could only win if we come together and we tackle this thing head on. And let us not underestimate the enemy that we face. All right? Let us not underestimate. So, we're in a crime symposium, and I'm here with a long line behind me, I've seen Vanessa, right? And I want to focus on three things. One, there's an erosion in family, and not much people are focusing on that as a cause of crime. There's a significant erosion on family, and if you look at children that grow up in broken homes, the percentage and chance of them going into crime is a lot higher. We have to look at the statistics, and we have to cover that gap. While we are already in a situation where the society has deteriorated, we have to prevent it from further deterioration. So a lot of effort has to be put back on family. Two, we need the ability to defend ourselves. It cannot be that we are living in our homes, and our homes are prisons. The prisoners are running free, and the law-abiding citizens are in jail. That needs to be returned. 3, there's a serious cost of living issue in this country. And with every passing year, it is becoming harder and harder for persons to survive on a daily basis. While there are people out there who will tell you there's work galore, and people can go out there and find work. When you find work, it's paying you $20 an hour. That buying a bread, and it can't even buy a tin of Vienna sausages for 1 hour. As a result, we have a lot of families that are forced to work 2 jobs and 3 jobs and ignore the livelihood of their children and allow their children to be raised by the gangs and the social media and all of these things. These problems, while we ignore it, it becomes worse and worse. We see it as small things, but it grows and balloons into bigger things. But what is probably the greatest cause of crime, in my opinion, is the perceived injustice in the country. It is when somebody believes that as a law-abiding citizen, I am being abused and taken advantage of for whatever the reason may be, and I have no recourse. So for example, an issue very close to our heart is the issue of these divers, the 4 divers that would have lost their lives and the 1 that would have survived. It has taken 2 years to complete a commission of inquiry, 2 years. And the commission of inquiry would have made recommendations to compensate the family members. But you will tell me that after spending over $20 million on a commission of inquiry, you're still hesitating when it comes to compensation. So me as a person going to work, knowing this, and knowing I am going into a risky environment, have to now put my life on the line. And when something happens to me, I know that my family will be catching the tail for years to come. That is gross injustice. And it doesn't only pervade there, because the attitude of the people on top is an attitude of them talking down to you. But we have to remember that we put them there to represent us. This is not a father talking to a child. This is a leader that has been put there to govern a country for the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago and the citizens here. So when you tell me you see an incident in Guyana, and the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago will get up and say, yes, if Guyana needs help, we are willing to assist Guyana. But your citizens right here crying for help. The citizens right here crying for justice. And we're not hearing anything from you. You need to go. Injustice needs to be cut. We need to fix the problem from the top and deal with all other issues. All right, so again, my time is up. On Thursday, everyone, we haven't heard anything regarding compensation for the family members. And as a result, we are asking all MPs, local government, ministers, senators, as much people as possible, civil society groups, come out and stand up for the right thing. It is time that we show them that we want them to do the right thing. The right thing is the right thing. Compensate the family members, let them get some justice, and start to turn the wheel around in this country. All right, so that's it there for me. Thank you, guys.
Good night, everyone. My name is Vanessa Kusi. I am the wife of Rishi Ryan Nagasa, the late. I don't like to say late, but it's the late Rishi Ryan Nagasa. I'm standing here before you, still waiting for justice for my husband. The Paria tragedy. Next month will be 2 years Since this accident happened and we are still waiting for justice, I stand together with the 4 other families as we want justice for the 4 deceased divers and the lone survivor. February 25th, when this accident happened at Paria, neither LMCS or Paria officials had called me. I got the news from a fisherman out at sea. When this news reached my home, the echoes of my screams were heard throughout my street. My house was filled in minutes. Myself and my family went to Paria. First, we saw the security. So we asked them if there were accidents that happened there, about maybe 3:30 or so, and they said no, there's no accident they know about. Now this there starts with a lie. A few minutes after, I saw an ambulance coming out from Paria. My uncle stopped him, the driver, and he asked about the incident that took place inside Paria and if the men are still in the pipeline. They told them they do not know because Paria officials are keeping everything very secretly, and they just went there and they said, "Ma'am, I would like you to pray and pray a lot." I fell on my knees, begging God for this not to be real. For a state-owned company, you all didn't have the decency to call the immediate wives to let them know this big tragedy happened in our country, and you never had a small little piece of, a heart to call the families of the deceased divers and let them know what is taking place. I have no respect for you all. The families of the 5 divers waited at the car park for news, day and night. Paria gave us nothing and was doing nothing to save these men. They, the Paria officials, never called any of the families, and we are still waiting for justice. Paria, you all are murderers, and we want this whole board to be fired because you cooperate with the deaths of our men. My home is not the same without our breadwinners taken away from us. The government called for the commission of inquiry. This had taken almost 16 million. What the families got? Nothing. They are laughing at us, saying we are weak, but I want them to know I'm going to fight for justice till the end. To the Prime Minister, the same way you came the next day and said our husbands are dead, and you tell the whole world our husbands, they are dead, and they were still alive days after. You need to come out the same way and meet and greet the family. We want justice. We want you and the Paria officials to come out and have meetings with us. As of this week, we are going to march in front of Paria as every day goes by, every Thursday as we meet. In other countries, Coast Guard fight to save lives. In our country, they pointed guns for the divers who were willing to save these men. I was there, and I can tell you, I am not lying. I was there from the beginning, and I can tell you all the people who were involved in this. And we need for the government to remove the officials from Paria. And we want quick response. The report Mr. Lynch had given us, he said it's not an act of God. And I think we are all clever and we know exactly what it means. They are all murderers. He clearly says Paria officials had left these men to die. And I end here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jackman from the OWTU Pointe-a-Pierre branch has asked me to inform you that the Thursday's procession will be in front of Paria from 8 a.m. So it's in front of Paria, which is the roundabout in Pointe-a-Pierre, in front of Paria from 8 a.m.
Good night, Honorable Leader. All other protocols observed. My name is O'Neill Jones, and I am from a humble village of Dow Village, South Oropuch, where it's mostly farming. And lo and behold, just before the Christmas, our farmers went in the field to water the crops. And 4 of their pumps, their water pumps, had gone. One guy lost 2. And the other 2 farmers lost 1 each. Up till this day, no one is arrested. No one was arrested. No pumps were discovered. You know what these fellas had to do? Go the next day in the store and buy new pumps, install them, because they had crops on the ground that need watering. More so, down by the bay, where the fishermen are. One morning, them fellas get up to go and fish, and there were no boats. They were stolen. What I really want to say here today is we have a frightened, frustrated nation. Leading up to today, from 2015 coming up today, because when you look around, you see fuel going up, everything on the rise except salaries and jobs. Remember the day when the fella say, if you're going in your fridge, and the man shut down petrol, and there was a lot of people went home. Contractors that worked in the refinery went home. And it trickled down. Because in those days I used to do sales on a truck. And where I used to sell, people weren't buying anymore to operate their restaurant and their food business, because there were no petrol train workers to buy. They went home. This is why we are today. It didn't happen yesterday. The crime situation in this country didn't happen yesterday. It was coming down the road. Because when you have people at the top that don't really care, because I believe in this country today, all the systems has failed. The health system has failed. The protective system has failed. You go anywhere for service, all the government service in this country has failed us. The school, we don't talk about violence. I was amazed to see these videos, school violence. What are we coming to? Sometimes you go on social media, 3 men gone down, so are we in the wild, wild west? Are we there? Lady, let me tell you something. You be the Moses and lead this country out of bondage. We are in bondage, because if you're afraid to come out of your house, we are in bondage. And let me tell you something. When your children leave in your house to go to work, to go to school, you pray for them. Ask God to protect them. Because I believe that is the only protection we have today from the Father above. There's none other.
All right? And before I close, I would like to say something to you all. Listen carefully. If you hire somebody to do a job in your home and they're wasting your material and not doing the job, what would we do? Whenever the day is called, people, I'm appealing to you, do not stay in your house. Because we are done sorry already of what is happening today. Let us not be more sorry. Let us come out and get rid of these people that govern us today. Because let me tell you something, them fellas don't have a clue, you know. All them know is to buffer people. The day you oppose them, they buffer you up. Right? I just observe, I just watch, I just follow the politics. I know what is happening. Oh, I didn't see the red light. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had more time. Really. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Yeah, just watch the time.
Good night to each and everyone. Good night to a distinguished political leader, the leader of the opposition, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and the head table. All protocols observed tonight. Tonight I am here as a concerned citizen on this crime situation, and I'm here to present solutions that can bring some kind of result to this crime situation that we are presently facing. Now we have just over 5,000 TTTS police officers, and there is over 25,000 plus precepted security officers that can lend assistance to the police service in bringing this crime situation to some kind of control. The police commissioner have indirect and direct authority over all precepted officers. Let me enlighten you all about a little thing about, once you are precepted, you have the same amount of powers and authority vested in a police officer under the rank of a corporal. And in cases of national disaster, the commissioner has that authority to call upon every precepted officer to do civic duty on behalf of the country. But what we have right now is a bunch of people heading the departments that is not certain about what they want to do and how to go about it. What we need right now is real rugged decisions. We need to have stiff decisions by those in authority. What we need right now, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to implement this proposal that I'm going to put forward. We need to have a state of emergency, at least for at least 3 days, where the police commissioner could call upon these estate police precepted officers to come and assist and work alongside the police service to bring some kind of control over the state. And I am also further in proposing, just as America have Homeland Security, that we develop a national guard service that includes all the different arms of the national security and all the interested parties. We have the resources. No longer should I hear the Minister of National Security or the police commissioner saying we have a man shortage power in the service. Because we have the resources, but we are not utilizing it and harnessing it in the right way. We need to bring and make decisions that will benefit the country as a whole, not ourselves. The government right now don't want to call a state of emergency because they want to look good, that when they come out of office, that they did not have to call a state of emergency. While people is dying, we need to have these hard decisions being taken by those in authority right now, not later, right now. And so to have a forum like this, I hope that each and everyone will embrace it, and those of you who have knowledge in the security industry, come out and speak out. bring solutions to the table that could be implemented to bring some kind of temporary solution to the crime fighting. We have people in our country that has great knowledge in the security. I am a former chairperson of the crime committee of the Greater San Fernando Chamber of Commerce. I had to relinquish that due to illness, but that did not stop me from having a commitment towards fighting crime and developing solutions. Now I see I am out of time, but I have over 21 recommendations that I would like to put forward. Anyone interested, feel free to talk with me through the MP for Tabakit, Ms. Anita Haynes. I am from the Tabakit area. So, good night to each and everyone. I hope that I would have brought some kind of stability and hope with my proposals. And if introduced under the proper legislation, you see, the government is failing to take stiff decisions. And this is what is required right now by those in authority. We need people with balls, as they will say. People to come forward and say, this is what has to be done, and this is what is going to be done. Not sit back and say, I listen to most of these broadcasts by the Commissioner of Police and others. They say, they are saying that most of the crime is drug-related and gang-related. And it's like, that is not important. My time is up now, so I have to go. But anytime that you all need good proposal, I have it available.
Thank you so much. Yes, watch the time, all right? Yeah.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, political leader, and all at tables, all protocols observed. I'm going to be straightforward. In a country of a population of 1.4 million, criminals, let me say 200,000, how would they held them in charge and how we frightened? We have the resources, we have the technology. That says something about the policing and how they direct their resources towards solving crime. If they continue to go the direction that they are going in, we will continue to have criminal activities. I cannot understand how a small population in our country have us living in fear. We need the right type of leadership in all different positions in order to make this thing work. Mr. Abraham, a few weeks ago, made statements about the police department. He came under heavy attack. How much of you all follow that? I take the unfortunate pleasure listening to every radio station. And when them PNM people talking shit and all. Sorry. When them PNM people talking and all. You understand what I'm saying? But we have to realize that we here are also part of the problem. We do not move with confidence when we talk about the negative stupidness that we hear with Prime Minister, ministers from the PNM, and them talking when they come to talk about crime. We know it, we know the problems, but nobody wants to take the action to get it done, and we need leadership that could solve the problems. These forums here does not really do much. It just brings up a public face a little bit. But within ourselves, we have to know what we are doing. We have a serious problem in the police department. And I am not afraid to say, when you go to the police station and you make your report, that's it. Nothing happens after that. Mr. Abraham, things change a lot. Nothing's happening after that. So we come out here and we say we need to work with the police. It don't work. We need a leadership to lead the police department, lead the country, lead everything, and take the right direction to make things happen in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me say this also. The United National Congress, with the laws that we had, was bringing down crime. We are aware of that. The statistics show it. Management with the PNM has shown that it is not working. They have the laws, they just don't have the right attitude to make it happen, or the will. The drug industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, multi-billion-dollar industry. How are you going and tell people, hey, get away from drugs? You cannot just do it with talk. People talk about taking the root problem. Currently, we have a major problem. We have to bypass the root problem, go for it and deal with it at the throat, and then work at the root problem. If we continue doing it how we're doing it, we'll stay in the situation that we are in currently. And I'm sure every regular citizen knows and understands this fact. I'm not going to take up more than my 3 minutes to don't turn yellow, but I guess you all could put together everything that I've said here and let us go out there and don't be afraid. We need just to know that we have the right people working with us, that when we work against the criminal elements, we will get it done. And we need the right leadership to get it done. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bruce. Thanks for that.
We do it right here. Thank you all very much. All our presenters, please give them a round of applause as we thank them. And from those who came from the crowds, again, if you didn't get a chance to speak today, our team will take your numbers, we'll contact you. The gentleman from Tabaquite mentioned his MP, Anita Haynes. He says he has 21 recommendations as MP. Can you work with him? Get them in writing for us, please. And any of you would like to bring forward any further suggestions, comments, we are willing and able. Our doors are open, our ears are open, our hearts are open to listen to you, to try to get our country working again. I want to thank the OWTU, and the Paria issue has been raised, you know. And there's something that really troubles me, and I would like to ask the government whether it is true that following upon the Commission of Inquiry report on the Paria divers, that during the period before the report was released to the public, but after the Prime Minister received the report, and in that report, the report was very abrasive to a person by the name of Mr. Piper. The OWT people know him. And another one, Mr. Mushtaq. And the question is this, I've been told and I'm asking whether the government renewed their contracts for a further 2 years. How can you do that? It's like, who will guard the guards? If they were the ones that the report found were culpable in their behavior, then why did you renew their contracts secretly during the period before the report was made public? And when the report became public, it was clear that Mr. Piper was found to be liable in certain ways for his actions at that accident site, that tragedy site. So that's something I think the government must answer us. Why did you renew the contracts of these two people? And who renewed the contracts? Was it Newman George and the Paria board? Was it the cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago? Because the cabinet had the report, you'll remember that. They got it since last year, but they delayed in laying the report and making it public. So I really would like answers to that question. It is a serious, serious question that if people have been culpable in terms of doing their jobs, I think one of our speakers here said tonight, you hire somebody to do a job and they can't do the job, what do? Fire them. You don't want to renew their contracts for 2 more years. The Commission inquiry found that the Paria was guilty of could be guilty of corporate manslaughter. What are they still doing sitting in those positions? Because they are the friends and the family of the Prime Minister and his government. I think they own townhouses together in Tobago, if I'm not mistaken. So the chairman, Newman George, and Prime Minister Rowley, and a few others, like a whole complex. What was it again? Remind me the name of it. That's right. Inez Gate. So a lot of the speakers, you put your finger on the pulse of things, that a injustice to one, it's an injustice to every single person, all. So let us continue to work together. I thank you again for proceedings this evening. We'll keep you advised and informed of the next proceedings. And I want to tell the Prime Minister, who is busy, as I told you, in Washington, that if you don't like what people are saying about you, the best thing you can do is to get out of here tomorrow morning. Just get out. Get out. You cannot buff people and tell them shut up because you have a different opinion. And you and Hines seem more concerned about Gary Griffith's underwear. Because that's what they came on the platform to speak about. Instead of telling us about plans and solutions for crime, you're buffing Mr. Johnny, you're talking about somebody Well, his name is Gary, but you're talking about his underwear, whatever it may be. I'm sure he looks fine, but who cares? What we care about is the epidemic of crime in our country. So we will continue to speak. Go home safe, enjoy your carnival season, keep safe. God bless you all, and I thank you very much.